Hello, everyone. Today's show is a little bit different. Well, we've been doing a lot of different shows this week, these last few times, with throwing it to Dino and him throwing me curveballs. But I thought today we'd talk a bit about fear and freedom. And I know we talk about fear all the time, but we haven't really spoken about freedom much. And possibly it made me think this morning or yesterday, really, when I was walking through the woods and I saw a bobcat, which was very cool. But I was thinking about creating my TikTok videos and gratitude, and realized how much gratitude just makes me feel free, because with that, it's just such an expansive energy that because you're so grateful about life, it makes you feel that freedom anyway. Well, let's see what Dino thinks. It's Carina, Break Fear, Find Freedom. And my beautiful host, Dino. Hello, Dino.
We're going to talk about fear today. Every show is about fear. Okay, all right. I'll play along. That's fine. That's
okay.
Good.
Well, let's talk about gratitude and how it changes your perspective on things.
Well, I'd like to first address the TikTok thing because so I keep playing around. It's a TikTok world. It kind of is in a lot of ways. I mean, the attention span is just really, really narrow, right?
But it's such fun, though.
Well, but a lot of people think you got to do something sensational in order to get somebody's attention, which is kind of sad on its own. But not everything we do is sensational. You can't just be like that all the time. But with TikTok, I think what you'll find is I look at it like being. I'm a lover of music, and I consider myself some sort of an artist. At least I qualify that I like art. Let's just put it that way, right? Art, creative, likes music, that kind of stuff. And so TikTok to me is like being an artist DJ, right? So right. You can take a photo or a piece of art, and it means different things to different people, yes. Right? But immediately when you the TikTok owner of the account looks at it, right? You think of something, and then invariably you think of a song that goes with the something. Either where you were at the time, there's a certain smell, there's all kinds of memory recalls that are really, really cool.
Yes.
And so it's a lot of fun to kind of put the image with the song. That's one. Right?
Yes.
And then because I'm a drummer for 50 years, you got that musical timing, right? So now it's not just putting the art with the song, it's creating these like little bursts and stuff like that that they go with the song. They go with the beat. So for me, it's fascinating. And, full disclosure, I can't stay off the damn thing. I'm just like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be sending specific messages every day. You're not supposed to just sit there and just do whatever. But, it is a lot of fun. There are worse things to do to spend your time. Let's put it that way. And anyway, I just wanted to throw that out. So if you're fearing TikTok, as I did, I wouldn't be afraid of it. I mean, it's just, first of all, you can't go wrong. And if it's really, really bad, you press the old delete button and you're done. I mean, it's over. It's like it never even happened. But what you'll find is it's kind of a cool, almost like an IQ test. I look at it. It just unlocks your brain.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun for me. So what was the question?
No, I was just saying that no, I'm loving TikTok. I wish I had gone onto it earlier, right? I was walking through, just walking as I usually walk, and I just walked through some dead grass, and I was thinking, oh, maybe I should do a TikTok video.
Yeah,
so I was taking video of the grass. Yes, yeah. Well, I don't know, grass. Okay, that could mean anything, right?
Yeah.
And then I took all this time to do this video, and then guess what?
Wow.
I deleted it by mistake. So after all that, I learned how to edit. It took me 15 minutes, and then it's like, I lost it. But anyway.
15 minutes you'll never get back, right? I mean, okay, so the next time you do it, I've done that too. It's like, damn, I should have saved that. But, sometimes you just redo it and it comes out better.
Yes.
But, okay, let me throw you a curveball because you know what? Why not? It's time. So I'm not plugging my magazine, but I have a magazine, Life Without Limits. It's coming out in July.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if our viewers know, but you are one of the feature stories in the magazine.
Oh, yes. Right. Wait, yes. And the link has been below for a while in the description box. Just by the way, everyone, go and subscribe.
Yeah, I'm not plugging the magazine. but sure. Okay. But you are one of the feature stories in there. And the cool thing is that people may or may not know. I mean, you were the first podcast I did when I finished writing my first book. And then I was on with you and started sharing the experience and so forth.
Yes.
You were working on a book yourself, which is now out, that's been published. Which is, the title, The Clank of Chains, and the beautiful story in it. And, everybody takes away from what they read, they take away differently. Just like when we were talking about art, everybody sees a certain thing. Some people see one thing, some people see another thing.
Yeah, so, it's a beauty.
I was reading your book and looking at the book. And for me, I took away something that may be a little different than somebody just reading it. I don't know. But I find that your book is about your incredible story about your life and your journey and how you overcame the hardship and found the inner strength to withstand being in prison, worrying about your son, worrying about yourself, not having the means to get a good lawyer. Am I spilling the story too much? Because if I am, just tell me to stop.
That's fine.
but and all that's great. All that is a story in itself. But the story that I see in the story is, what came to my head is "You Don't Define Me" is like a subtitle for your book. And I think "You Don't Define Me" is a message, and I'm not being chauvinistic, but we've talked before about our ethnic backgrounds and everything.
Yes.
Greek background, Italian background, a lot of European backgrounds. 50 years ago, even now, but 50 years ago, it was the women aren't defined by their own accomplishments, unless they're defined by the man they're with, the provider. Okay. And again, I'm not sure. Stop sending hate mail because I'm with you. I'm just trying to explain something. And so, against all odds, you defy the system, buck the system, leave your country, your comfortable home with your family and everything like that. Just basically uproot yourself.
Yes.
For someone that you meet, you go to a foreign country to start your life as the wife, right? And then yada, 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 things didn't work out. Don't feel bad. I got 3 of those. Okay. So it's okay. My point is all of a sudden, when I was reading the book, you find yourself in a situation that you're like, I'm not Mrs. Insert his last name.
Yes.
I'm me.
But I never got married, remember?
You don't define me. It doesn't matter. Marriage, common law marriage.
Doesn't matter.
The point is that you're not Carina, you're Mrs. So-and-so.
Yes, exactly, yes.
Right. And I think that in the book, the little nugget that I want to bring out is that you are basically I don't know if you even realize this, the anthem for millions of women around the world that feel as you do, that may not be free as you are in that sense. And we're not talking a political thing here. We're not talking about a financial thing here. We're not talking about a successful podcast. We're not talking about that, but it's just you decided you haven't given up on love. You haven't given up on men.
No, of course not.
But at the same time, you've realized that these people don't define you. And that is ultimate freedom. So if I had to throw a curveball back on your initial thing, and don't ask me how I came to this thing, but it's been in my head for a while. I was thinking, I don't think Carina realizes the subliminal anthem that exists in your book. Unless you do. I don't know, which is pure genius then. What are your thoughts on this?
Thanks for that. I never really thought about it, but you're right. I think you mentioned it to me a few weeks ago, actually. And I've been thinking about it. But I've never elevated myself to that level, which is not a good thing. I think it's just about.
What do you mean elevated?
Well, I haven't actually said, well, hey, you know what? I'm the person you should come to because I can help you out with whatever. Because read my book and it shows you that. I think it's more about just getting through and learning about myself and becoming powerful within myself. Which, yes, I should be teaching others to do the same. You're right.
Yeah. I mean, because, it's hard to break the circle or the cycle, actually,
yes.
Right? It's my grandfather did it this way. My father did it this way. I'm this way. I mean, it's a cycle. There's cycles of abuse, cycles of following in their father's footsteps.
Yes.
I don't want to be a doctor, but there's doctors throughout our family, so I guess I'm going to have to be a doctor.
Yes,
and all
the sins of the fathers, right? That's somewhere in the Bible, right?
And in every stage, you're giving up a piece of your freedom because you're following a cycle.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So what makes somebody break that cycle? I mean, I know I did it because in my family, it was the same thing. It was education. You're nothing without an education.
Yes.
You have to get an education. Look at me. I'm an educator. My father was the principal of a private Greek school, the first school in America,
Yes.
1902, the first. And I'm like, but I don't want to be a teacher, So aside from the ego, saying, well, I'm kind of disappointed you're not following in my father, by the way, never did that. But there's a lot of fathers who do that.
Yes.
They guilt. You're almost like vicariously living through your kid, which is a no, But for you, because we've been doing podcasts for a very long time now, you kind of get to know the person, and a lot of things that you keep repeating subtly is your upbringing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Marry a man who's going to take care of you. Why are you thinking these crazy things? Who cares if you go to college? You're not supposed to have these dreams. You're going to be a housewife. You're going to have children. What are you worried about all these other things?
Yes.
This is the old culture that we grew up with. I mean, it existed and it still exists.
It still exists.
Yeah. And whether you agree with, I mean, I'm not agreeing with that philosophy. Don't get me wrong, but it does exist. And I obviously acknowledge that it does.
Mm-hmm.
And so you see a lot of people that have been, you beat a dog long enough and then you see the dog and the tail is always between their legs. It's because they don't feel comfortable. They don't feel sure. And then you see a happy dog, and a happy dog doesn't have the tail between the legs. And animals come to people that are kind, that love them, even though you don't know the animal. Animals are afraid of the ones that are mean or shoo them away or throw a rock at them. I mean, you know who you are. Come on. I mean,
Yes, that's right.
So there's a lot to be said. If you hear it enough, Carina, you believe it, right?
Yes, yes,
So
of course.
what made you break your cycle?
I think I've always been a bit of a rebel. I've always tried to break that idea in my head that I'm a woman and I should be less than, and I should be. I tried to break it, but of course those beliefs were inbred, and so what I did is on one hand, I tried to break them. I tried to get out of this box, out of the box. But yet, on the other hand, I sabotaged myself on every level because of what I believed. So there was this thing all the time.
When you say sabotage yourself, how?
I'd say I'd start, like, for example, I started a cleaning business and I did really, really well. I got like really good clients. And then suddenly I did something and I messed it up, right? Because, hey, you can't be successful because you shouldn't be successful. You must keep yourself down. So then I messed it up and then I destroyed it, which people do all the time, right?
Wow.
That's another story, and that's in my other book that I'm writing. So
okay, I don't know this one, but wow, self-sabotage, huh?
Yes, always.
Because it's like, this is feeling too good. This is too great.
Yes.
I don't deserve it.
I don't deserve this, of course.
That's what was going through your head?
Yes, and it's been like that all the time. I took the leap of faith. Full disclosure right now, which is not in my book, is like a few months before I had to leave, I started getting doubts, and I started seeing through the cracks, right? I started seeing this guy. I realized he was a liar and whatever, but on some level, it was almost like, hey, I need to escape. And I shouldn't be saying this, but honesty here. I need to escape this box that I've put myself in. And you're stuck when you're in an environment. I mean, you're stuck with those beliefs, and a lot with an addict. It's a big thing as well. Many people they get clean and then they go back into the environment, and what happens? They relapse, right? Because there's all the triggers and all the same people are there. So in some weird way, I wanted to escape that. And this proved an opportunity for me. So again, I took a huge chance, right? And maybe at the back of my mind, in some way, I was reckless. But I needed to be reckless to break the cycle for myself, I think.
Okay, so let me stop you right there for a second, because you're not going to escape these questions, Carina, okay? So when you're with this guy, at some point, you know that he's not the guy that you thought he was. And at some point, you come to the conclusion in your head that it's not going to get any better because he's not going to change. And he's not right for me. But because of your beliefs and because of that uncomfortable thing facing the people that may say, I told you so.
Yeah.
Or the people that want you back to, quote unquote, enslave you. You see, I told you, you're just a woman. You got to, right? You stayed there, right? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. What I'm saying is, I mean, a lot of the times, because a lot of the times I had the beliefs, right? I mean, I have to say, like, my mother's always encouraged me and whatever. So I'm not blaming anybody for anything. A lot of the stuff was my own stuff that I had, growing up, I had learned and whatever. I spoke to this man for like 2 years. We spoke and whatever. And towards the end, people, people can only keep up a facade for so long, right? And then if that's not who they are, the cracks start showing. And I think the cracks started showing because I started realizing, oh, you know what? He's repeating the story. He's not who he says he is. He's lying. But of course, I self-doubted myself and thought, you know what? You're doing this out of fear, right? And then, of course, I told everyone I was leaving, and everyone was saying, like, oh, you're crazy. You're just leaving. You don't know this person from nowhere. What are you doing? And I wasn't going to, my ego, I wasn't going to go say, hey, I'm not doing this anymore. So I jumped in.
So because you're talking about it, you're going through the motions so much, and then people telling you not to do it made you do it even more.
Right.
So now you're stuck in your own fame or infamy, basically. It's what you created, right?
Yes,
I can't go back. I'm going to look like a fool. I can't go back. That means I lost.
Yes.
Or I'm a failure, or whatever it is. I mean, I felt like that in a lot of ways in the things that I've done. I mean, I can't stop drinking now. I'm the infamous drinker. I mean, you know, you could take it any way you want.
Yes.
Back to you. So when you decided finally, I'm leaving, but I'm not going back home.
Yes.
That was like a huge moment for you.
Yes. I remember going to say goodbye to my brother, and he said to me, well, when you're coming back? And I said, I'm not. And he just looked at me. And that's what I did. I packed I got rid of everything. I mean, I'm a minimalist. I don't like stuff, you know, but I packed all the stuff, and what a little bit of stuff that, you know, I got rid of everything, and I packed my books and a few things and documents and stuff, and I packed a bag, and that was it. I took my degrees because I needed them, right? And I took a few things and books. I took some books. And the interesting part is that I carried these around for like nearly 2 years before I got arrested. And then when I got out of detention, everything was lost anyway. So that was quite interesting as well, that I had to get rid of my past because I was carrying it a bit with me. So yes, that's what I did.
And a lot of people, it's funny you mention that because, you know, I've had 9 lives basically, but, you know, every time you finish a life with somebody, there's stuff, right? There's pictures, there's, you know, the stuff that you don't really think about. The first thing you think about is, I'm out. Okay.
Right.
And after that comes all the stuff. When you separate the finances and you separate all the other things that are involved, what's left is stuff.
Yes.
Photos is a big one, some shared books, you know, that kind of stuff. And even with my mom's passing, you know, my brother and I had boxes and boxes of stuff.
Yes, I can imagine.
Collected over the years. I mean, when we were kids, photos that we remember and stuff. And my brother keeps asking me, and continues to, you know, hey, I have these things. I mean, do you want some of it? And I'm like, no. Yeah. He's like, well, why? Well, first, I got this thing about clutter, but take that aside. I just figure all the memories that I want are already in my head.
I agree with you. You know
what I mean?
Yes.
And and that's the extent of it. So I'm sure it bothered you when you lost these things getting out of detention. But at the same time, you must have realized that, you know what, everything that I was toting around for 2 years is in my head anyway. You know, the stuff that you want anyway, right?
Yes, it wasn't. I mean, I'm not a person that has photos around, or I'm just not like that. I prefer, you know, to me, it means nothing. It's in your head, right? So I didn't take photos with me, but like I had, you know, clothes and whatever. And it didn't matter. It was almost like detention. At the end of detention, I got released, and it was a new life. It had to be a new life. So it was symbolic on a lot of things, because I came out of detention. I was wearing the clothes, my my clothes and my phone. That's all I had left, which was great. It was a new beginning, and it was okay.
Yeah.
It was okay. The painful thing is that I lost like ID, and that was a pain. But you know what? You figure it out.
Yeah, it is a pain. I mean, those things, the government documents, which we all need, right, to get around. Okay, one more question, because it's killing me. See, all of a sudden I became the interviewer. You said that your mom was very supportive and has always been supportive. Okay, that being said, where did you pick up these beliefs then? Because it usually comes from the parents and it sprinkles on down.
Yes, well,
you're defined by the man you're with. If your mom was always supportive, then where did this belief come from for you?
Well, of course, my mother told me that at the beginning. That's what her belief was. She was brought up in the 50s, right? That's the belief. And that's how you're brought up. So you go to university. A lot of women went to university. First of all, I had the cousin saying to me, well, to my mother while I was there, what are you going to do at university? But a lot of people went to university. I mean, I had friends going to university with the intention of meeting a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, so that so that you could have your good life. For me, I was never like that. I always shunned. I was always like, I never felt like I belonged anywhere. So I just carried on my own little life and my own little terms, And on some level, my mother believed that as well, because she wanted the best life for me, right? I mean, that's what she wants. She's like, you can't, because they don't know any better. Like if you meet a doctor or a lawyer, you've got money, so you're going to have a good life. I mean, that to me doesn't make sense, but that's what they believed. So even though you're fighting through those beliefs are inborn, they're like ingrained. And you just don't even realize, because they're unconscious. So you don't realize that's how you're living your life. So it's interesting.
And so why do you think you realized that, hey man, this is not right, or there's something telling me that there's got to be a better way? I mean, what was it in you that made you realize that?
I've always been a reader, and I've always fought against it. So I'd always have these arguments growing up with people about women, like we're not stupid. I mean, I'm not stupid. Don't underestimate me. But even though I had those conversations, I still, on some level, believed what I was told since a little girl. So it's very like yin and yang. It's like weird, right? So and you don't realize that until you start doing the inner work. Like we always talk about that. You start doing the inner work and saying, like, why am I sabotaging this? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? And then you realize, it's all these unconscious beliefs. So you realize it, which is good. But then on the other hand, then you start putting barriers up because you don't want to be hurt and you don't want to. So it's life.
That's interesting. Again, feature story in the magazine. I'm not spilling the beans. It was just something personally that I've been noticing because now I'm editor-in-chief of the magazine.
I know, it's so cool.
I'm reading it, well, consider the source, okay? But it's not like any magazine you've seen before. It's one of those, why am I getting goosebumps and you don't know why kind of a thing, like everything that I'm trying to do. Enough about me. But honestly, I mean, just this podcast, it would be great if you titled it, You Don't Define Me, I Am Woman. Because seriously, this is, I personally think, not because I know you, Not because I have to say nice things because you're in my magazine, not because of anything. I just think that a lot of people need to hear this message because I didn't realize it until quite later that it's true, you know, and a lot of these terms that are used, you know, for, wow, I'm treading on real thin ice here, but, you know, like people that say they have issues, daddy issues, they have, you know, all that stuff. I mean, it's so derogatory, but think about that. I mean, where it is glamorized by the guys in certain ways because they're like, oh, I'm going to be the protector and I'm going to, take them under my wing and, you know, all these things that make the man feel good. Think about what it's still doing to the woman. You're encouraging them to stay that way. It's just that they're transferring the person who holds power over them to someone else.
Yes.
It's really what it is.
Yes.
Do you breaking your fear and finding freedom? Yeah, the book covers that snippet of time, you know, your time in detention and your inner strength. And again, like we were talking about, but I think there's a lot more to it than that. And I think that your experiences are really healthy for people that are going through the self-esteem issues or the same kind of belief system. They can, you know, reach out to you and you can kind of guide them. I mean, you know, that's a powerful thing. So congratulations. I know we weren't supposed to talk about this, but this is as good as any subject that we've covered. I mean, it is, in essence, the ultimate break fear, find freedom. And it is the name of your podcast. And it is something that you've tried to do all your life.
Yes.
So that's kind of cool stuff. You see, we got some nuggets out of nothing.
As we always do.
As we always do. That's right. That's right.
Yes, well, that was quite a curveball, Dino, that you just took me straight out of.
Well, let's talk about fear. Okay, you got it. All right, let's talk about fear. So, you know, it's great that you can open up and start talking about these things because, you know, again, not everybody screams from the rafters all the time, you know. It doesn't make that screamer better than the one that's quiet, but you know, I just had to bring it up because you're a very humble person, and sometimes you don't realize that you're sitting on some message that is extremely universal and extremely powerful. And I think that exposing that message is a really cool thing, so that other people can find hope. Again, which is something that we both share,
yes.
And comfort in the fact that if she could do it, anyone can do it. Right. Doesn't make us, you know, unique or special. No. And everybody has these things. So this was a good show. Your book, Clank of Chains. I'm not going to plug your book. I'm sure you have it at the bottom, but it took me, full disclosure, because I got a lot of things going on, but also because I don't necessarily like reading books. And I am an author. I'm an author, and I'm saying this, right? But, you know, for all those audio people or all the readers or what have you, this is good from the sense that I think a lot of people are going to see in the book what I'm seeing. Other people may just see a completely interesting story about your challenges with immigration and being detained and your love of country. We're coming up to the 4th of July, right? Right. So, I mean, so it all makes sense. But the underlying powerful issue that at least I pulled out of it is that you don't define me. It's basically just screaming, boom, boom, just, you know, so congratulations.
Thank you. And that's great. I'd actually never even thought about that. So thank you for that. Now, I have to ask you a question. This has been burning, right, for a while. You play drums, right? So we need to tell the world here that Dino has got many talents, and one of them is a drummer. So tell me a bit about playing drums and why you chose drums. And
when I put my set together, I'll take some clips. But right now, there's just so much going on that for fun, I go to a studio that's close in town, and I play by myself to iTunes, because that's the best way, instead of sitting with a bunch of people that know half of the song.
Yes.
I play with the band that actually made the song.
Nice.
I find that really, really nice. I've been playing off and on for about 50 years, and I started playing on Tupperware with 2 wooden spoons. And, music is in our family. It's really big in our family. My father played guitar and mandolin and bouzouki and all of those things. Mm. And from a young age, he encouraged arts. He encouraged me to draw, which I do. He encouraged us to listen to music. He encouraged us to pick up an instrument. I picked up bass and I picked up guitar. I mean, I have a musical ear. Let's put it that way. It's big enough anyway. But my fingers, I just have a hard time. But I have like very powerful hands, so I found that to be really, really rewarding, just to be able to just because I'm loud. I don't like the little, although I can do it. I like playing loud where you feel it in your throat.
Nice.
Right? All kinds of music, not necessarily stuck on, rock or metal or classical or country, or just all. It's whatever moves you. And so, yeah, I do play an instrument. Eventually I'll take a few picks once I soundproof a room that I have the drums in, because we do not want to aggravate the neighbors. No. I like this neighborhood and I don't want to overstay my welcome. So hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I love that. So I can't wait. I can't wait to actually have a podcast where we started with you playing drums. That will be very cool.
Yeah. We're gonna do a podcast and I'll be playing the drums while we do the podcast. Maybe I'll take a clip of me, or I'll take a clip of me and my brother playing. He plays guitar, and we had a band back when 14, 15 years old, Galaxy band, and nice. So we played at certain things. It was kind of cool. So the band is getting back together. Okay, for everybody out there.
That is very cool.
Yeah, and we're buying the Scooby. We're getting a Scooby-Doo van, and we're going to hit the road. We don't have time, but it's something certainly that we both enjoy doing. It's just finding the time to actually sit down now and do that is kind of difficult. So anyway, it's okay.
That's really cool. It's nice to see a difference, because we need to learn more about Dino, right? We do business all the time. It's nice to have a little bit of something.
Everything you need to know is posted on Facebook. Trust me.
Yes, we've seen that.
Yeah. So there's not one side. I'm like, again, somebody's like, you should put a business Facebook and then have a personal Facebook. I'm like, why? I'm not business all the time. I'm a lot of things. I'm not just one thing. And so I'd like to show all those things. Why just show one thing? The polished Dino. I mean, come on, there's no polished here. It's just, this is it. This is a nice shirt too, by the way. I know,
I was looking to very cool
shirt. Between this or a tank top. So I dressed up for you.
Oh, thank you, Dino. But it's a very cool shirt, and it's a nice color as well.
It's a nice color. Anyway, I enjoyed talking to you.
This was great. Thank you. I wanted to ask you one more question. So I found this on Facebook, right? Mm-hmm. What is the most revealing thing about you that you hide?
Are you asking me?
I am.
What is the most revealing thing that I hide? Nothing. I mean, nothing anymore. Seriously, if there was anything that I have to hide, that it's pretty impossible. I've gone to great lengths to expose
Everything.
my entire life at this time, right? Maybe years ago, you'd see the guarded Dino or whatever, but right now, what you see is what you get. You may not like all parts of me, but to be authentic in this new world, I think it's important for them to see every part of you and understand all of your moods. And you're just a normal person like everybody else, who has a mission. Everybody's got a mission. I have a mission. I'm choosing to screen the mission, but it's still, we're all the same. We all have several parts to us that make up the whole, not just one little snippet we choose to share. So remember that. I had a good time. Thank you, everybody, for joining Break Fear, Find Freedom. And we broke some ground with Carina today. Thank you very much. It's a good book. If you haven't read it, go out and read it. And watch for her feature story in Life Without Limits magazine, coming soon in July. Till then, take care. Take care, Carina.
Thanks, everyone. Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
Dino, and have a good one. Bye.